And we'll finish up with the Gospel for Pr06-L11, the third Sunday after Pentecost, June 14th, 2026. We're in the Gospel of Matthew, end of chapter 9, verses 35, 36, 37, 38, and through the first 20 verses of chapter 10. This pericope can be summarized as how to be a disciple and why. Jesus has been casting out demons and healing people and calming raging storms and all kinds of Jesus-y stuff, right? And he's calling men to him to have a special relationship of learning with him and to walk with him and to kind of soak up all of the things that he's doing. And they don't get it, and neither do we. But as he goes about doing that kind of work, it says in chapter 9, verse 36, seeing the multitudes, he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and downcast, like sheep without a shepherd. I don't know if you know anything about sheep, but they're really stupid. Sheep are super dumb, and they can't really do anything for themselves. They need someone to help them do everything. They are constantly getting into scrapes and trouble and mischief, and they're just really dumb. And they need a shepherd, and their shepherd has to truly care about them. Otherwise, they are not going to make it. And so Jesus looks at these multitudes, at these hundreds of and thousands of people who are coming to him to listen to him teach, to have him heal their sick, to drive out the demons, the ways that they are bound by Satan. And he is just so burdened for them. He is heartbroken over, this is his creation, right? He made these people. He knew about them. From before the foundations of the world. He knew that he would encounter them during his incarnation and time on earth, but actually seeing them and physically being present with them and being participating in their distress and their downcastness, it affected him. It was hard on him because he loves them, because they belong to him. And so he has compassion on them. And like we learned over in John, back during Lent, Jesus is the Good Shepherd, and so he cares for these people, and he cares for us, and he sees how we're distressed, and when we're downcast, and we're really dumb, right? We can't figure things out. We make choices that are just stupid, and then we do it again, and we need a lot of help. And thank God for Jesus, our Good Shepherd, who gives us the help and who teaches us, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I need from you. And I'm going to be right here the whole time. You're not alone. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to do the hard thing. I'm going to do the hard part. You just keep coming to me. Just keep following. Just keep listening. And so he told his disciples, the harvest is plentiful. There's a lot of people who need salvation. There's a lot of people who need the word. There's a lot of people who need the truth, the harvest, what can be gathered in. It's a lot, but the workers are few. There are not very many people who are willing to give their whole lives to Christ and say, okay, whatever you need, I'll do it. I'm yours. I'm the sheep of your hand, and I will come into your gates with thanksgiving and into your courts with praise, and I will do whatever you need. That's rare. It just is. And so Jesus tells them, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into the harvest. He needs people. He needs me. He needs you to go and be his disciple. We flip over to chapter 10, summoning them. He gave them authority over unclean spirits and over diseases and sickness. This is for a certain place in a certain time. Because they had physical proximity to Jesus, they had power that was available to them on account of that. I know there are miraculous healings and exorcisms now, but I think as a matter of course, that was limited to this time around, the first century after Christ. And then it names the disciples. And verse 5, Jesus sent them out after instructing them. He doesn't send them out until they're ready. He gives them what they need. He teaches them before he expects them to teach others. So as we have the ability, we are called out into the harvest. He's not going to ask any of us to do something that he hasn't prepared us for. He's not cruel and he's not crazy. He wants us to be successful. And he wants us to be faithful, and he wants the harvest to be brought in. And so he's going to give us what we need in order for us to do what he calls us to. He tells them what they are to do: heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. And he gives them specific instructions for how they're to figure out who to talk to and who to share with. He says, right now, don't go to Samaria. They're later. Don't worry about them right now. But when you go into a city, see who's open, who's available, whose ears are already willing to listen, who's worthy of receiving this message. And if the home is worthy, give it your peace. And if it's not worthy, get out of there. Don't waste your time trying to disciple people or share the gospel with people who don't want to listen. This is kind of, I don't know, I would say an indictment on street preachers who just pick a random corner and stand and shout the gospel and hope that they're going to pluck someone up and have a convert that day. That isn't what Jesus says to do. Find people whose hearts are already soft and who have a willingness to listen, because otherwise you're going to be wasting your time and your breath. You don't have to go to everybody. Go to the people who are ready, and that work is God's. That's not ours. That's why we need to be paying attention and looking and listening closely. Whoever doesn't receive you or heed your words, go out. Shake off the dust. Move on. You don't have to keep beating yourself up because the person that you're trying to witness to doesn't want to be witnessed to. Maybe it's not right. Maybe there's someone else who's going to be a more worthy recipient of the message at that time. I'm not saying, oh, whatever, they're doomed to hell, never speak to them again. No. Not everybody is ready at the same time. And so look and listen for where God wants you to be now. Let me back up here a minute. I skipped over a couple of verses. Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts. This isn't about trying to get something for yourself. Like when you're following the missionary call of being a disciple, the benefit is not supposed to be for you. There are some of us who are engaged in professional paid ministry, and what it says here, the worker is worthy of his support. It's okay that I work at my church and I draw a salary. I'm worth that because the work that I'm doing is what I'm called to do. And our church needs me to do the things that I do. This is the same true of pastors and custodians and organists and things like that. The work of ministry is sometimes in a professional capacity, not always, and not everything that I do for my church is part of my job, what I get paid for. But I'm not working at my church so that I can get money. That's not, good heavens, that's not what it's about. They do pay me, and I'm grateful for that. But there is mission work that needs to be done. That is, we don't get compensated for that. If God calls and says, "Hey, go talk to this person," or "Hey, show compassion to this person," or "Hey, pray with this person, sing to this person," we do as the Spirit leads. But when there are workers in a professional capacity, they're worth being supported, not to enrich themselves. I think a lot of these mega churches whose pastors have $1 million salaries and live in these extravagant, insane houses, and their buildings just go on. They have whole campuses for, acres and acres. And I don't think that's right. But I also don't know where the line is, and so I think there has to be a building, and there has to be a staff of a church in order to make sure that ministry happens. But I don't think personal wealth should ever be a result of ministry. And so I thought that was important to say there. So then he says, verse 16, "I'm sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves." Remember, we are his sheep and the sheep of his pasture and the flock of his hand. And as disciples, we are his sheep. Sheep are really dumb. He's sending us out in the midst of wolves. What happens to sheep in the midst of wolves? Well, they get eaten and torn and destroyed. But we have a good shepherd. We are going to be in places that are dangerous, that are hostile, that are oppressive, that hurt, and he is with us. We aren't by ourselves. Beware of men, he says in verse 17. They will deliver you up to the courts. They will scourge you in their synagogues. Scourge is a word that means like hurt you physically, like whip you with whips, or, tear your flesh, or just awful physical torture. Scourging is physical torture. You'll be brought before governors and kings. The world is going to hate what we're doing. And if it doesn't, then maybe your discipleship isn't where it could be. If you don't have opposition for the sake of Christ, then maybe it's time to grow and deepen a little bit as a disciple, because we are supposed to walk in his way. And there is supposed to be opposition. There are supposed to be wolves. If we're around only people who are believers, or if the non-believers around us can't tell that we're any different from them, then maybe that's time to ask Spirit to help us examine our discipleship a little bit deeper. We need to expect that there will be wolves, and that there will be pain and consequences. But he says in verse 19, "Don't become anxious about how or what you will speak, for it shall be given to you in the hour what you are to speak." Don't worry about it. If you don't know what you're going to say or if you're going to say something to somebody who you would really like to share the gospel with, or just tell them what God has been doing in your life, he says don't be anxious about that. Why? Because he knows we're anxious about it. And so he builds in for that from the beginning. I know you're anxious. Don't be. I'm with you. I'm here. I'm the shepherd. It's my job to protect you and to give you everything that you need. You're the sheep. You don't have to provide for yourself. I know that you can't, he tells us. And he has compassion on us because he knows how much this stuff distresses us. And so in his great love, he gives us everything already that we need. Verse 20, I love this. It is not you who speak, but it is the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. And this is my hope for these videos, that it's not me speaking, but the Spirit of the Father in me that is speaking to you. And it speaks to me as I do these too. And so do not be afraid. Are we sent out? Yes. Are we going to screw it up? Yes. Do we have everything we need? Yes. Because he's our shepherd. We're just the dumb sheep. We can't obey. We can't stay faithful to the covenant. We can't represent him well. He already knows that. He's built in for it from the beginning, and he still calls us. And so this is our mission. Where today can we go and share something? He's taught us something, right? Each of us has something that we can share. And it doesn't have to be beyond what you're capable of today. I'm not going to go speak to a seminary class. That's not what I'm capable of today. But I'm talking to you, and I'm sharing with you. Who can you share with? What has God put in your heart? Where's your joy as you get ready to enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise? Share that with someone before Sunday.